In this video, I'm going to talk about using variables in Unity's visual scripting language. I have three player objects set up here, and each one of these player objects is using the same script machine or the same graph within their script machine. All of them are hooked up to use this get button down, where I check if they're pressing the jump button. It does an if statement, and then if it evaluates the true, then it applies a force in the upward direction. Variables are a way of removing these sort of hard-coded values. So you can see this word jump is put right here into the visual scripting language. Same thing with this force, 040, right? It's put right here in the visual scripting language. In the case of this, where I have all three players that are running the exact same script, whenever I hit the spacebar or my jump button, they're all going to jump to the exact same height. Now, if I want them to jump at different heights, but still use the same script, I'm going to have them use a variable. To do that, I'm going to create an object variable. An object variable is a variable that's stored on the object itself. So because I want each of these players to be different, I want it to be an object variable so that each one of these player objects has its own variable. Right? You'll see what I mean in just a second. So let's go to the first player. Let's go to the object. Let's call it jump force. Now, this force on the rigid body, it takes a vector 3 is what this is. So it's a vector, which is in three parts, x, y, and z. So I'm going to have the jump force variable be a vector 3. It takes three parts, x, y, and z. I'll have the first player jump at a normal jump height, which has a value of 4. If I click on this portion here and drag it out, notice how it created this new unit for me called get variable, and it gets a variable from the object called jump force. It's got a data port here, and I can take this data port and connect it here instead of using that hard-coded value. Notice how those fields now go away. It's now pulling the force from this variable here, right? Now the great thing about this is now I can go to player 3 and notice how the graph remains the same. It's looking for this jump force variable. So let me create it on this object. Jump force. This is going to be a vector 3. And this one will have a jump height of 8, or a force of 8 instead of 4, like the first one. So the first one has a value of 4. The second one now has a value of 8. And then my third player here, I'll create a new variable called jump force. Again, a vector 3. And this will have a value of 12, right? One graph that's behaving the exact same way. Each one of them is using this get variable to get the variable from the object itself. The first player has the variable jump force with a y value of 4. The second player with a y value of 8. And the third player with a y value of 12. Let's take a look at what this does. When I go hit play and I hit jump, notice how each one of them jumps at a different height. It's using the exact same script graph, right? The exact same thing, except each one of them has their own variable. Another great thing about this is as we select these different player objects, we can edit the variables right here without even opening up that graph anymore. So we can edit right here while the game is running, and we can sort of cycle through these things and just very quickly see what those values are set to.